Welcome back, everyone, to the W Sports Podcast. We are live, and we are back at it again as we are hitting the middle of July. And that means a couple things. We are at the All-Star break as of tonight for baseball. Football is literally like 10 days away for a lot of training camps, mini camps for a lot of the vets. And college football comes out next week, so we are officially into football season. Tubby, welcome back to the show, and we got to celebrate somehow, man.
I know. It's like a celebration of, everyone's just waiting for that, next couple days. Like Monday, this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on if you got the early access, you didn't, is just going to drag on for a very long time.
Yeah, and some people don't realize this, but Tubby, you're not downloading the game.
No.
You guys are going to school. You guys want that physical disc, which apparently they'll make. But you can say, straight there as soon as they open.
Yes, sir.
That's going to be great. Have you seen any of the stuff on YouTube? I think LeBron was streaming it the other day. I mean, they had Michael Vick versus Tim Tebow, and I realized, man, you guys don't play video games. I get the name hype. You guys are terrible.
Yeah, no, I caught a little bit of it, and I'm like, why on earth is Michael Vick using Alabama? Why isn't he using Virginia Tech? I mean,
he did in a different game. I did see that.
Okay, did he? I was going to say, because that makes no sense. Why wouldn't you play with Virginia Tech? That's where you're from,
Yeah,
whatever.
First game maybe was Virginia Tech versus Florida, which, made sense. But I was like, man, maybe it's just the teams that are not evenly matched. I guess, I don't know. It was just not pretty. So maybe he's like, I want to get the best team, which, we'll get some debate on who that is. But Arch Manning is now in the game. And did you see his overall?
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Hasn't done anything outside of spring game, really. But, hey, watch out, Quinn. He is coming for your job. You slow down just a little bit.
Yeah, I found it funny, though, that, the whole, I don't want to be on the game because it distracts from, the actual game of football. And then, I ain't taking no NIL until I become the starter. And you did exactly the opposite of both.
Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe Quinn is not the starter anymore.
I doubt that.
It's true. I doubt that. Yeah. Either way, the game comes out this week. It's going to be absolutely insane. Can't wait.
Yeah.
It's literally going to come. It couldn't be a better time because it's been so stupid hot around this world that I don't want to go outside. I will say it's going to be a little bit cool later this week, which I'm excited about, but still so stupid hot. Let me stay inside air conditioner. You just build a dynasty.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, perfect time in the middle of the summer. It gives me an excuse not to go outside.
When it melts your face off outside. So, that time of year also brings the All-Star break. So, did you see the fun fact? It was Cardinals and Cubs were playing this last week in 4 straight games, and I learned a fun fact about the All-Star game. This is the second time ever since the start of the All-Star game in, I think, 1933 that the Cardinals and Cubs don't have a position player on their roster.
Oh, wow.
So that just speaks volumes to, one, obviously the fan base and how they vote people in, but two, the amount of talent that these teams have had that right now are just underperforming. So,
yeah,
crazy.
It's true. I mean, they are both too. I mean, at least for the Cardinals, they're actually playing decent baseball, for the most part, the last month and a half. But the Cubs, you've been an absolute disaster this year compared to what everyone was expecting for you. So, that is pretty crazy where we're at now. At the beginning of the year, I don't think that's what everyone would have envisioned was the Cardinals being in second place in that division and the Cubs being at the bottom.
Yeah, and I have a fun fact for you. I'm just full of them today. So if you're ready for it, I'm going to go for it. But how many home runs does Aaron Judge have?
34.
34. How many home runs does Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, and Wilson Contreras have to combine?
33.
31.
Oh, wow.
So the big three for the Cardinals going into the year is going to have fewer home runs than him. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it just tells you, not necessarily, I mean, yes, they have underperformed, but how do you get 34 home runs, set the record for the Yankees going into the All-Star break? It's absolutely crazy how many home runs he keeps hitting.
with the slow start too. That's the craziest part is like the first, close to the first month, we were like, where's Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
Just think if he would have been on fire, we may be talking about 40 home runs at All-Star break.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like now I look at him like, man, I just wish that, I mean, he would be a no doubter, like 600 home run guy if he would have, come out a little bit earlier. I mean, it would have been absolutely crazy. When I look at, there's another guy. So we talked about this before, and I want to throw this out there because we're at the break, and he's been on an absolute tear. If there wasn't for, I think Aaron Judge, this guy would be just the talk. I mean, he has still a little bit. It's Shohei Ohtani, right? He has 29 home runs already. He has almost 70 RBIs. He's a little bit further behind in all those categories, but when you look at him in his career so far, do you know how many home runs he has total now?
200.
200. And he's been in the league since 2018, with 2020, kind of a season in there where it wasn't a full year. But everything else, he's been played quite a bit outside the first 2 years where he had some extra injuries.
Mm-hmm.
How old is, do you know how old he is right now?
Is he 27, 28?
That's what I thought. He's 30. He literally turned this month.
Okay.
And it's another one of those guys who, when I look at it on paper, this guy, I think he can hit 500. And now I look at how old he is already. And, sure, maybe he continues to put up 40-plus a year, which then he'll get to that number so quick. Mm-hmm. But to be 30 years old and only have 200, that's wild. Like, he's one of the, we've seen the last of these massive home run hitters, I think, for their career.
Yeah, it's absolutely the truth. But unless they are because the thing is, like, they're not coming up like they were, early on in their career compared to, like King Griffey Jr. and, Barry Bonds and Albert Pujols. These guys came up so early in their career, barely spent any time in the minor league system. Nowadays baseball, it's like, it's so much about potential and what can I have in like 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Instead of maybe we don't know what Wyatt Langford could do. Maybe Wyatt Langford is, someone different because he's up in the majors after his, this is his first full season in baseball. So if the power numbers are what a lot of people think, maybe he could, potentially, flirt with that number. But we have no idea right now because it's only a rookie season. Mm-hmm. But it's just, I think the philosophy in baseball now is so different than what it was back in the 90s and 80s and stuff like that, where they weren't just like, oh, well, we're just going to draft, potential and see what happens from there.
Yeah. So it's one of the sad things just to look at because he's so good. It's not really sad. It's just maybe it's like, I'm not sad. I'm disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. Yeah. It feels like. Yeah. But nonetheless, I mean, and I wish that both of them, because neither of them are in the home run derby, correct?
Yeah. The Dodgers told Shohei he couldn't do it because of his elbow.
I wouldn't say, I'm getting paid $2 million. I'm going to do it if I want to do it.
I mean, that's true. But I think Shohei's probably a little smarter going, I'm hurt. I'm, still technically injured coming back from Tommy John surgery. I should probably.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking, I mean, the home run derby is here in just a couple of days. So, do you have any early favorites to win the derby?
I mean, Alonso should win, based off of past history and with what is really the rest of the field. There's not a whole lot of, big time power guys in this. Pete Alonso is one guy that, we know who can win and has done it twice already and could be in an elite category, I guess, for home run derbies if he wins again. But yeah, Alonso probably should win. Maybe a dark horse would be, like a Teoscar Hernandez who has a lot of power. Maybe he gets, hot during the home run derby and has big. I don't know exactly the format. I know they changed it up this year. I think it goes based off of. It's not like head-to-head like it used to be. I think it goes based off of kind of like old school where it's most advanced.
Yeah, I think that kind of makes sense. But if I look at it, I'm not going to pick Pete Alonso because everyone is, and he probably will win this one. Like, he's built for this. He's the video game character for this.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Adolis Garcia, who has not had a good year so far. Get him here where he doesn't think he just hits home runs. And this dude is huge. and he has monster home run potential. So I'm going to see him there. I think Alec Boehm. I'm not sure why he's in it.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like I'm a little confused. Also, Dulles has got that home crowd advantage, but Alec Boehm, like I mean, Alec Boehm, he's got a ton of RBIs. I just don't see him.
Doesn't have the power numbers.
Oh, he's a doubles guy.
Yeah, he's a line drive hitter. He's not a typical power hitter that you expect in the home run derby.
11 home runs.
Yeah,
so, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
How many home runs does Bobby have? Do you know?
Last time I saw it, it's been a couple weeks. He was around 14, so I'm gonna guess he's at 17.
16 right now, so it's a little more normal. So, I mean, it's Kansas City has one of the top 5 players in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so is that are you locking in your pick?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Teoscar just because. Why not? I'm a Dodgers fan. I'll go Homer, and I think those are probably the 3 guys that you look at based off of, size, power. Those should be the 3 favorites.
Yeah.
But Alonso probably should win just because we've seen him do it, and we know the guy, when it comes home run derbies, he's going to hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah. So All-Star game the next day, the NL starter. Is this the right call?
I mean, since he's been in baseball, he's been one of the most dominant pitchers we've seen. And I think part of it was the hype. Let's go ahead and try to get as much, hype as we can around the All-Star game. Why not? I saw someone was talking, these guys on MLB Network were saying, he shouldn't start because of seniority. I'm like, well, that's stupid. Because all the other pitchers outside of Chris Sale, who's now not pitching in the All-Star game, this is their first All-Star game. Mm-hmm. So there's not really any seniority based off of past All-Star games. So why not? We're trying to bring more people to baseball. You got probably the next ace in baseball right here in your hand. Why not start him? Give him. It's not like he's pitched bad. He's got a sub-2 ERA. He's the only pitcher since I think it was like 1893 to be have 2 starts with 6 inning plus, 10 strikeouts at least, and no hits in 2 different outings as a rookie. So why not? It's not like I said. I can understand maybe if it was like he wasn't having such a fantastic year, but the guy, he hasn't disappointed. He's done exactly what we expected, and his 11 starts has been one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, you want to get people a reason to watch the All-Star game. That's it. People for whatever. I mean, they're just let me see Paul Skenes, and absolutely, I think it's the right decision. Was it the right decision also to pull him in 7 no-hit innings?
I mean, probably not for me at least. The manager said it wasn't because of the pitch count. It was because he didn't look as crisp in that inning. So maybe he pulled him because he was afraid maybe he was going to give up runs. And it was a 1-0 game at that point. So it's not like they had a big lead. So if he went out there and gave up a home run or something, it would, wouldn't matter as much. It would have tied up the game. So I think maybe he played it, more, along the lines of going, well, we have our chance to win. And he looked a little, shaky a little bit in that inning. So we'll go ahead and take him out. And he said it wasn't because of his pitch count. So I'll go ahead and say, agree with him, I guess. But I would have left him in. Why not?
Do we, old school, Bruce Bochy approach here? Like, no, I'm going to get to it.
Yeah.
Looking at the AL, who's starting the AL? I don't even know if I've seen it.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it be announced yet.
Okay, I was like, no one's talking about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's been announced because Skenes technically they weren't going to announce it until Monday, but they got a head start. So I'm guessing probably tomorrow is when we'll know who's starting for the AL.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because he's starting, are you more likely to watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
It worked.
It did. And maybe I'll take back a little bit of last week when we talked about does the All-Star game matter? Mm-hmm. Maybe not to us fans, but to those players. I don't know if you saw Logan Gilbert, the video of him calling his parents, and telling them that, hey, you guys got any plans next weekend? If not, you want to come out to, Arlington and watch me play in the All-Star game. And when I saw that, I was like, maybe I was maybe a little wrong, because for them it does mean a lot, because you can tell he was emotional about it. His first All-Star game, selection. So maybe I'll backtrack a little bit on that, because like maybe for his fans it doesn't mean as much, but for those players that definitely means a lot for them, because that video, if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it, because it definitely will change your mind maybe on the All-Star game, going maybe it matters a little bit more than we think.
Yeah, it can definitely help, like why it matters. I like that take. That's a good take. It's a good take.
Yeah.
All right, we can go in. I mean, any more All-Star Week news that you want to kind of hit? I mean, we got the draft happening right now. They got, I think, 8 picks all the way through. The Cardinals got the shortstop in West Virginia, which I think is a good pick, and it's kind of a
Weatherholt. I like that.
Fell because of money reasons, and let's go. So, there's just the MLB draft is just so different. It's like the NHL draft. It's just going to take years to truly see some of these people, unless they're Paul Skenes.
Yeah, or Wyatt Langford. You saw him. But I think the one thing I will say, we talked about the All-Star game, about them needing to put the skills challenge in there. They do it for the Futures game. Why aren't we seeing it for the MLB? Come on.
Yeah, and the Futures game, it snuck up on me. I thought it was going to be like Monday or something like that, and no, it's yesterday.
No. So. Yeah.
Fine. All right, so going into the break, last year there was a team that was absolutely on fire. Everyone was in love with this team, thought they were going to storm through the second half and win their division, have a deep playoff run, and it didn't happen. It was the Cincinnati Reds. Honestly, the break came at the worst possible time. There are going to be teams right now that are like, thank goodness we got a break. Let's recap. Let's regather together, whatever you want to say, and let's get back out there. If it's a strong second half, get healthy, whatever it might be. I'm going to hit a couple teams that I think I want to get your take on it, Tubby. So number one is your Dodgers. So far this month, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks at home. Then they did beat the Brewers 2 out of 3. Then they get swept by the Phillies and then lose 2 out of 3 to the Tigers, but in some really dramatic fashion to the Tigers. Is this just a case of, listen, they have all-star pitching rotation all in the IL right now, and just wait, the Dodgers are going to be fine? Or is this a case of, we're tired, let's get to the break, or any warning?
It's definitely the fact that they got a major league most 15 players on the IL right now. I mean, and the thing is, like, 13 of them are big contributors to the team. You got basically your whole starting rotation right now that started the season out, or Bobby Miller got optioned down to the AAA because he came up after rehab starting, just got absolutely blasted the other day. So I think it's a lot of it is, I mean, you look at that team and the guys that are out. You got Mookie, you got Muncy out, Jason Hayward, who was a big contributor last year, and then you got Yamamoto, you got Kershaw on the IL, you got Glasnow, you got Buehler, and you just keep on going down the line, and all these starters, and you got guys from the bullpen, Brusdar Graterol, Joe Kelly, a bunch of guys that are out, and it's definitely come at a good time, All-Star break for the Dodgers, because they've struggled mightily, and they still somehow have like a 6.5 game lead in the AL West, because thankful for them, up until those last week or so, the other teams were sucking too.
Yeah, they were not having their best time. Second place right now are the Diamondbacks, who, like we just talked about them in that series. So that was at least good for them to get a momentum. But tied with them are the San Diego Padres, who it just feels like this is them repeat right now with this. It's barely above 500. The Giants are very quietly in this division gone to 47-50. It's pretty surprising from what it looks like. And they also had quite a few injuries. The Rockies are terrible, but is there one of those teams that, as a Dodgers fan, they do need to get things right, because one of these teams has the potential to really make it a race down the line? Or do you think it's really just theirs, don't worry about it?
I think the Diamondbacks could make it interesting. They're starting to play better baseball. They're going to be getting guys like Merrill Kelly back. They're still waiting on see if Corbin Carroll could get things figured out. Zach Gallen hasn't pitched great. Eddie Rodriguez, he's hurt too. So even with all that, they're in the hunt, for the playoff berth. The Dodgers are struggling. They have the series lead right now on the Dodgers through the season. So it could be a team that could potentially sneak up on the Dodgers. I don't know if they can catch them, but it is a team that, if the Dodgers continue to struggle, this is a team I think that could potentially sneak up on them and maybe make the division more interesting than it is.
So looking at this, every single season since I only went as far back as 2019, there has been a sleeping giant at the All-Star break. And what I mean by that is who made those deep playoff runs in the NL. Pretty much, it's always been the NL because the AL's been so top heavy lately. But the NL, who's had teams that have gone deep later on. And I guess the reason why the AL can't is because the Astros seem to occupy one of those two spots every single year. So,
that's true.
When you look at this, last year it was the Diamondbacks. The year before that was the Phillies. The year before, and remember how bad the Phillies were. The year before that, it was the Braves. The Braves had just had to remake their entire outfield. The year before that was 2020. So I'm not going to throw that in there because that made it only 60 games.
Yeah.
The year before that was the Nationals. That's as far as. But every single year. Remember that national team was terrible. Remember how bad they were about a month and a half into the game or the season. But there's always one that does it. So, is there one team that stands out, or do you want a couple of ideas of hey, who kind of qualifies? Because some of those teams are as much as 5 games over 500, but they had terrible starts to the season. Some of them were literally like 500.
Yeah, I'll just stick with the Diamondbacks. I think that they are a team we've seen them already make a run. And they kind of right now it's kind of feeling like the Phillies the last couple of years, where they started out so bad with the expectations. We expected more from them, but towards the middle of the season, they started picking things up right before All-Star break. And maybe this is a bad thing for them that they are picking it up right before All-Star break, but at least for them, it gives them a chance to get Merrill Kelly back and Eduardo Rodriguez, healthy, and maybe it gives Corbin Carroll enough time off just to kind of recuperate and figure something out what's going on, whether it's the shoulder or it's just something mechanically that he's has going wrong, and jumpstart their second half. I think they are a team. We talked about them at the beginning of the year. This is a dangerous team when they're right, and they're starting to get right, and they're starting to look pretty dangerous. And like I said, you got a starting 3 pitcher where they could be really good. We just haven't been able to get to see that because Rodriguez and Merrill Kelly have been hurt. Gallen was hurt for a little bit, and he still hasn't quite, been the same guy, but he's still Zach Gallen, and he's a guy, that we expect to be one of the best pitchers in baseball. I think they could very well get hot and make a big push like they did last year.
I think it's a great pick, especially because we've seen it. So far, we haven't seen back-to-back in the very short amount of window that I just went over yet. So they'll be the first ones. Give me a team that's not them that you think it could be. Because I agree with you. I think that they have a lot of those pieces. They also have past the lull of the hangover of a long, long postseason.
Trying to.
I got 3 teams that I can't believe I'm going to say.
Yeah. The NL is just so
exactly
so top heavy, and to try to think of a team that could potentially, I'm gonna go with the Giants. I think the Giants are a team that, Blake Snell's healthy, and he pitched great today. In these last 2 starts coming back from the injury, he has looked like Blake Snell. You got Logan Webb, you got Harrison healthy now. They do have some other injuries, but Luis Matos has been incredible for them. Came out of nowhere and just absolutely raked, made the All-Star team. I think that's a team that could potentially get hot. I think it just depends on if they can get enough runs, and we know they will probably buy at the deadline because they're the Giants. They're always chasing, and they're always going to be buying. So they may be able to bring in another offensive weapon and help them out, and I think they have the pitching to do it. Now, if Snell is what the Snell of the last year, these last couple of starts, he's starting to look a lot like him. He took a perfect game through 6 innings today, so maybe he's finally getting right with the weird offseason free agency. Maybe they're a team that could potentially make a push. I don't know if there's an NL East team. I don't know if anyone from the Central could really potentially do it.
Yeah, so I think one team that people are going to have to at least look at and consider for that is the Mets, and that comes to the grand fault that they are the Mets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they've been really, really good recently, and they going into the break 49-46.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not close to the division, but that is right there in line with that wild card. And all you got to do to get that wild card is just sneak in, and then who knows? I agree with you on the Cardinals. I think that when I tell you that stat about Aaron Judge out hitting their big three on home runs, it's just stupid. And that does mean if they were to get better, which I don't see happening, then that is your sleeping giant. But I don't think I also think it's a couple teams that either they have people coming back or it has to be teams that have those little pieces that they can trade. Because if you look at it right now, the potential sellers, I can't even say anyone in the NL Central is actually a seller yet. Maybe even an expired contract, but they're really not. The Marlins, what do you want from the Marlins? The Nationals might be, but they're going to be asking hefty prices for the pieces that they have. The Rockies, please. What are we talking about? And then those are the sellers in the NL.
Mm-hmm.
And then the AL, you got the White Sox, the Tigers probably going to be selling. But even then, the Tigers are back within 3 games of 500. So I don't necessarily see them for sure doing that. The Blue Jays, it sounds like they'll be sellers. And then the A's and Angels are the other ones. There's not a whole lot. So there's not a lot of and because so many teams are there, they're going to try and tweak those small pieces. And it's just, I don't know if they're those teams that really can have those massive, massive trades that we've seen the last couple of years. It's just not the year for that. It doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
So, but if I'm going to pick one in the AL, it's the Houston Astros, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, that's to me the only answer in the AL right now is the Astros. The way they're playing right now, if they would have won today, they would have been first in the division. Crazy. So it's one of those things where we wrote them off early because of the way the pitching was and the way everything was looking. We're like, man, this team's just not looking like the normal Astros, and they proved everyone wrong and broke everyone's heart except for somehow Astros fans. If there actually is Astros fans, they broke all Major League Baseball's heart because everyone was hoping for the downfall.
Oh, man. I just wanted to see it.
Yeah, me too.
Just so everybody knows, eventually they do fall. I mean, look at the Patriots. Okay?
Yeah.
Side note, I did watch Football Life, Nick Saban, and I watched Bill Belichick's this week on YouTube because they're free. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That's really, I was like, you know what? I don't know why I hate these guys so much. Like, they're good at what they do, and maybe that's why, but they're such good head coaches. They were obsessed about the process, and they didn't care about the result. That's why you'd see a Nick Saban get furious in a blowout win because the players weren't owning up to. They weren't going after. They're like, we already got the result. Who cares? Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can take a break on baseball. The last thing I want to say is everyone was screaming, worried about the Yankees winning a game. I'm fine with it. I think they're good. I think they're going to be okay. I know they lost today, but I'm not worried.
The way they lost today was rough.
What was it? But they okay. But it was a wild ninth inning. I get that both sides.
I'm just saying the way they lost. I mean, you have a ground ball to Volpe. He botches it. Runner safe. They're within 1. Then they hit a routine fly ball. For some reason, Verdugo is just crashing hard in. The ball's way over his head. Drops. And they score 2 runs. The Orioles do to win the game. It was one of those things where you're just like, how did that happen? Like,
can a position player get a blown save?
I mean, he definitely deserves it. I mean, Clay Holmes did his job. He got a ground ball to the shortstop with bases loaded. All you got to do is pitch it to the second baseman. No, he botches it. Then, like I said, I don't know where Verdugo's head was when he, comes crashing in and is like, oh, wait, that ball's over my head, and flies over his head, and somehow they score 2 runs. Yeah, it was one of those.
They were tied for the division lead going into today. Like they played as bad as they did, and here we are. Like I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
No, I'm still worried.
You're still worried, yeah. All right, well let's go ahead. We're going to move on to some football news here. Yeah, into the college football world. we can either hit that towards the back, and Big 12 Media Days had that. So I think let's lean into the NFL because we're about to have training camp start here very, very soon. And one name that keeps coming up due to extensions, and they're just talking about, hey, it's time for him to get payday, but also ankle injury, is the one and only Dak Prescott. And I feel like we just had this conversation about an extension with him, so if he's already back up due for one, it's crazy. But it had me ask this question: is Dak Prescott a top 7 quarterback in the NFL right now? Top 7. I think that those are the guys. That's the top tier. So you shaking your head no.
At least not in my rankings. I don't think he is.
Okay, so how about this? Let's just have your rank. What is your top 7? So
right now, how I have my top 7, I would say I have Mahomes number 1. I mean that's the only answer there. And then I think Josh Allen is still number 2, even with. We're just talking pure quarterbacks, nothing around him. Josh Allen's number 2. I think Joe Burrow's number 3. I think with what I saw Lamar do last year and improve the way he was able to throw the football, I'm gonna put him at 4. I think he has definitely impressed me. I think more with his passing, and I felt like he had taken a step forward passing wise compared to what he had done. Number 5, I'm gonna go with the guy. I don't know if most people would put him up there, but I'm gonna put Matthew Stafford at 5. With what he did last year, I think Matthew Stafford showed if he can stay healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. Mm-hmm. And with the team last year, no one expected them to make the push towards the playoffs like they did. I think shocked a lot of people. I'm gonna put Jordan Love number 6. I think Jordan Love is an ascending player. Yeah, it definitely. Jordan Love is definitely an ascending player, and I think this year it's just sky's the limit for him. I think Stroud's number 7. I think Stroud, same thing with Love. They're both just on the upward trajectory. I think they both right now are solid top 7, and then you got Aaron Rodgers, Herbert, Hurts. I think you can throw in that area, and then it kind of. Dak, but I don't know if I have Dak in the top 10, honestly.
So just throwing this out there, Dak Prescott it's the best completion percentage with people who have anywhere near the amount of attempts that he has. He's third technically for the full year, but Mason Rudolph is technically better, and so is Jake Browning. We're not going to get him. Yeah, no. So he's number 1. He's also in yards. I think he was 3rd. And average per attempt, which is I think it's a pretty good indicator. He's like top 5 as well. And then he led the league in touchdown passes, and he had fewer than 10 interceptions, which put him towards the definitely the better half, especially for full-time quarterbacks. So all that said, this is why I think some people like Dak Prescott and think he should get this, and that he should be a top 7 quarterback. But like you, I don't know that I'm ready to put a guy like C.J. Stroud there after 1 year because we've seen the 1-year quarterbacks and then the struggle. But we'll see. If I wasn't going to put him in there, it's hard to think of like, well, who am I going to? I like the Matt Stafford one, but then it almost becomes like, do I choose this person or this person based off who would I rather have, or who do I actually think is the better one? Because I think there are some highly competitive quarterbacks that will never give up. Guys like a Matthew Stafford, a Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love is obviously showing it there too. And say what you will about Brock Purdy, and I'm not the biggest Brock Purdy fan, but maybe it's because of the skill positions players that he has. But he's his team, and he didn't make the big mistakes that I thought he would down the line. But the name that has fallen super far out of this is the Herbert one. Does he have a chance with a new head coach this year, new system, to kind of right the ship?
I think it'll be difficult this year, just based off of. I still think Herbert's a great quarterback. We're just talking intangibles and the way he can play. I think Herbert is still a top 10 quarterback. But with what he has around him, he has no one. I mean, offensive target wise, you're talking about Ladd McConkey probably being his number 1 wide receiver. I know a lot of people are going to say, what about Quentin Johnston? Stop. We're not bringing up Quentin Johnston right now.
So bad.
Your starting running backs is either J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards. Weapons wise, this guy doesn't have weapons. Yeah. So his numbers are probably not going to look great because of what he has around him. But I do think that he is still a top 10 quarterback, and with top 5 potential. If we're just talking about the way, pure quarterback play. I think he has that ability. I think the thing with Dak Prescott is you named off all those numbers, but yet you go back and look at the defenses they played last year, and
Okay.
they played against a lot of bad defenses.
Yeah.
Throughout that season. So I think it made us. I'm not taking nothing away from Dak. He had a great year, but I just don't think watching him play, I don't look at him and go, yeah, that's a top 7 quarterback. That's I would take him over so and so, so and so, and so and so. I wouldn't do that because I don't think he's that top tier guy.
I think that's fair, and I think that's I think he's going to be really good. So let me ask you this: how about this? Because the name that always comes back to me in the NFL right now, football-wise, like good quarterback, don't really want him on a team because I just don't see him doing it. It's Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
really solid quarterback, but I don't think he has it. Right?
Yeah.
So is that like who would you rather have, Kirk or Dak?
I would
see.
I was about to, but now you got to take into consideration injuries and stuff. Man, I think I would still take Kirk Cousins.
Okay, I thought I might have you lean towards Dak on that. Okay.
Just because I like Kirk Cousins' leadership and what he can bring in the locker room wise. And like you said, he's kind of one of those guys that just kind of never gives up. Dak Prescott doesn't strike me as that guy. That through anything, I think the playoffs last year kind of proved that through everything, he's going to keep fighting no matter what. I think Kirk Cousins is someone that no matter what, that guy is going to fight his hardest through everything. And, like I said, locker room, everything, I think he probably brings a little bit more that way. But, yeah, I don't know. That's a very interesting,
I know. Just throwing that there. Better chance to succeed this season. So, both of them are going to have new coaching staffs. One has a new team. And one also has to win the position battle, which I think he can. Justin Fields or where did I put Will Levis? Right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Who do you have? Because this is a make or break year already for Will Levis because of the new coaching staff.
Yeah. I don't like either of those quarterbacks. Oh man, I would say that I'm gonna go with Will Levis because I think he has a better opportunity to play.
Is the video of Jordan Love and Justin Fields playing at all into this decision?
Oh, absolutely. You can't watch that video and look at him and think that guy has the footwork to be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah. So for those who see it, was it on the Packers feed? Or
it was on Bleacher Report.
Bleacher Report's feed.
Yeah.
It's Jordan Love and Justin Fields both working out. They're doing like kind of just step back throw, kind of footwork stuff. And it goes love field. And I had to watch like 3 times because I was like, what am I seeing? Because I can see this. And what is this? So it just kept getting into it. And it makes sense. Like, why? I think the Bears definitely made the right decision on going to Caleb Williams, seeing those things. But Will Levis, I don't think either of us were super high on him going into the draft. But when I look at the footwork of Justin Fields and he has to overcome Russell Wilson, who isn't great at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe Will Levis has a better chance this year to succeed. Maybe.
I think we're looking at it going, well, one guy for sure starting. The other guy we may not see on the field, depending on how Mike Tomlin said when they initially signed him was that we expect to sit him for the whole year and let him develop. So we may not see Fields on the field unless Russell Wilson just absolutely awful or gets hurt. But it's definitely one of those things where that video, I wasn't big on Fields after last season. I was 100%, yeah, they need to go out there, draft Caleb Williams, get rid of Justin Fields. He's had his chance. I don't see him being able to get that, be a legitimate quarterback because of the decision-making, the processing. And that video definitely shows the processing that his footwork is just not there. And, the receiver had to stop for a millisecond to wait for Justin Fields to get through the progression, of his footwork to throw the football in just a simple crossing route over the middle. So and one of those things is you can't look at that video and go, oh yeah, that guy's absolutely great. But when you look at that video and he's not good, that's one of those times where you go, Well, if it's not good and it's routes on air type thing like that, that's when you can criticize him. You can't go based off the routes on air going, oh man, that guy's an incredible thrower, whatever. But when they are bad about it, that's when you can look at it and go, yeah, that actually matters.
Yeah. I like this quarterback game. We're kind of just going off the fly here, and I love how it's been tough because I have another one for you.
I say I have a. When you go ahead and do yours, then I've got a little game for us to play too.
Good for the game, but this is like going into the season. Who do you think is going to have a better chance? Both these players are coming off of really big injuries, missed quite a bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
But the hype at different times has been higher. One of these definitely has a higher ceiling, I think, at this point. But you got Danny Dimes or Danny Nichols, whatever you can refer to him, as coming back from an injury. That Giants team is pretty rough. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think has a better chance to succeed as a quarterback this year? Him or Anthony Richardson, who I know you're not a huge fan of.
Man, that's I'm going to say Anthony Richardson. I'm not big on Anthony Richardson, but I think at least for him, he's got the legs. The legs can work for him enough that it can maybe open things up. But how much do you really want him running the football is the big thing. And then on top of that, he's got a lot better targets. Malik Neighbors is basically the only thing Daniel Jones has.
Yeah.
At least for Anthony Richardson, he's got Michael Pittman, who had an incredible season last year. A young Downs that I think that can be a really good wide receiver in the NFL, and A.D. Mitchell and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. And Daniel Jones has had an awful year last year, but Daniel Jones has never had more than 6.8 yards per attempt, which is just an indication of mediocrity in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
For his cause, Malik Neighbors may be the best target outside Saquon Barkley he's ever seen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like wow.
Yeah,
but I just want to throw that one out there.
No, that's a good one.
I was trying to find a good one for Deshaun Watson. It's just,
oh man.
But it'd be Deshaun Watson, or you'd be like, give me the other guy. I don't care who it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Slam, Drew Lock. Yeah, give me him.
Yeah.
All right, I want to hear what you got, Debbie.
All right, so I'm gonna name a quarterback. So I'm gonna give you a quarterback. Then I'm gonna name off quarterbacks, and I want you to stop me, and I'm gonna go kind of based like off of my quarterback ranking, name them in order, and I want you to stop me when that quarterback is better than the guy I named. So I'm gonna give you. We'll start it out with. We'll go with right off the back. We'll go with Brock Purdy.
Okay.
So that's your quarterback. So we'll start off Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, no, he's better.
No. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen? No, give me Allen.
Joe Burrow.
Give me Burrow. Yeah, healthy, absolutely.
Lamar Jackson.
I don't like that one. Can I push? Can I say they're even? They're even because it's different.
You got to pick one or the other.
If I'm going to pick one or the other, I'm going to pick Lamar. But it's close.
All right. Matthew Stafford.
Oh, if it's a vacuum, regardless of age, like it doesn't matter. Like this isn't career. This is this year.
Yeah, right now.
Give me Matt Stafford. That dude's a baller.
Jordan Love.
I think, dude, Jordan Love did more last year with less. Well, I mean, they don't know they needed more. I mean, it's hard to do more.
Yeah.
Oh, man, what did he? Jordan Love last year was 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. Brock Purdy was 4,000, 30 touchdowns, 11 picks. Dadgummit, dude, that's pretty good. Give me Jordan Love. Brock Purdy's 9.6 yards per attempt is absolutely insane. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he's not going to have both those receivers for all that same crew. So I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, give me Brock Purdy. Not even close.
All right. That's where it is. That's where we stop.
Okay.
Right, another one. Now this one I think is going to be an interesting one. Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
So
I thought you were going to go.
I'm just going to go ahead and skip the top five because we know we ain't taking him over Mahomes, Allen, probably Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Stafford,
Right.
Those guys. So we're going to go a little bit further down the board here. We'll start with Jalen Hurts. Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts.
Give me Jalen Hurts. He's won. He's won all his life.
Yeah. Justin Herbert.
Dude, that's like the same thing. Those guys are the same.
And
I
I'm
think
going based off of like, who do you think is the better player?
better player.
Not what you think they're going to do this year, but who do you think is the better player right now?
That's tough. Okay, so last year, Lawrence, 4,020 touchdowns, which is not great. 14 picks, not great. I think the thing that gets me, I think Herbert definitely has the ceiling to be a better quarterback. I think he does. But I think if you let him run, Trevor Lawrence is the better player. He's never been able to scramble and freely go because I think that's the potential. Plus, the Jaguars they play guys like Christian Kirk to be number one wide receivers who are not.
Yeah.
So I'm going to slightly very close decision here to go to Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. We'll keep going with this one because I think Trevor Lawrence is an interesting one based off of what we have seen from Trevor Lawrence. Dak Prescott or Trevor Lawrence?
I think based off what we've seen, I have to say Dak.
Jared Goff or Trevor
Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence. I do like Jared Goff. But he is the epitome of who's the quarterback for the Giants when they were winning it all. Not Eli Manning, but back in the Lawrence Taylor time period.
Phil Simms.
No, not Phil Simms. That's a
not Phil Simms.
No, I can't think of it. There's always a quarterback that we had to have the right guy for this. He's Alex Smith. Maybe that's it. He's an Alex Smith. He's just.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence or Kyler Murray?
I'd rather have Trevor Lawrence, I think.
Okay. Trevor Lawrence or Baker Mayfield?
No, now you're getting hard to have that one. Talent-wise, I think you have to say Trevor Lawrence, but results-wise, you should be saying Baker Mayfield.
So I'm just going to say out of all those guys, I take all those quarterbacks over Trevor Lawrence right now.
Okay, hold on. I want to defend Trevor Lawrence. I know he had a terrible year last year, but I did mention that they pay Christian Kirk to be the best wide receiver in the league, and he is not. Every year, his completion percentage has gone up a little bit. Well, pretty much up, and his average per attempt has gone up. And he has been able to not run enough. I just think he has so much untapped potential. I know that he hasn't been incredible since that freshman year at college, but I think it's there. Tell me why I'm wrong.
So when NFL Trevor Lawrence, I have seen an inconsistent passer, someone that misses open shots over the middle, and not the greatest even on simple comeback routes. I haven't seen the potential that everyone expected from Trevor Lawrence. When Trevor Lawrence came out, everyone was likening him to Andrew Luck. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I was thinking he was Andrew Luck. I wasn't quite that heavy on Trevor Lawrence. I thought he could be a good NFL quarterback, and I just feel like when you look at things, his numbers, and we have talked about this, are so close to Daniel Jones. And we talk about how bad Daniel Jones is, but we look at Daniel Jones, and what has Daniel Jones had? I think wise, complete, just total, target wise, and skill position wise, Trevor Lawrence has had the much better teams. And yeah, I will give him the wash of the rookie year because of the whole Urban Meyer thing was ridiculous, but he still did those. He still had a bad rookie year, but I haven't seen him take a step forward. All I've seen him do is really, numbers wise, you can look at it and go, yeah, he's improved a little bit, but I'm looking at on the field play, and I haven't seen him take a step forward. I've really seen him. I think last year I saw him take a slight step back with a better wide receiver core than he's had probably in his career, and Travis Etienne, who had a career year and a better offensive line than he's had in recent year. And he took a step back, and part of that could be due to the injuries. And that's one reason why I don't know if I would really want him running a whole lot more, is because he did sustain a knee injury, but I haven't seen the step forward. And Doug Peterson's supposed to be this quarterback whisperer, and this was the big deal when they signed, when they got Doug Peterson, was that, he's going to, tap into that potential of Trevor Lawrence. And I think I've seen Trevor Lawrence regress more on the field. And like I said, numbers may not, show that, but I just feel like watching him play, I haven't been impressed with him. And I've seen better things from all these other quarterbacks. Right now, I just don't see. I see him maybe as a top 15 quarterback, if that. And I'm probably closer to this, 16, 17, 18 range, because I mean, this is just my personal opinion. I haven't been impressed with what he has done in these last couple of years, where he is, like you said, they paid Christian Kirk to be the number one wide receiver. Well, Christian Kirk had a really good season for the most part that first year until he got hurt, which, you still shouldn't have paid him to be that much. But last year you get Calvin Ridley, who I think a lot of people expected him to, them just to kind of click because of what Calvin Ridley could do route wise. And we saw that early on. And it was just kind of like Trevor Lawrence just kind of stayed meh, the whole season. They should have won that division so easy last year with what was there. And I just don't think he has that killer mentality. I don't think he has that ability to be someone that can go out there and just, okay, game's on the line, I got to be my best.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a fair take. I mean, you clearly have leaned, like, made sure you came ready for that conversation. I think it's a great game. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting game because I think we really know who the top three for sure are. Locke, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow are clearly the best three quarterbacks in the NFL when healthy. But there's so much after that. You look at guys, like we talked about Stroud and Love. The potential of what we saw last year, man, if they could take that step forward, we're talking about those two throwing themselves up in that conversation of the top five. But like I said, I think Lamar improved enough last year as a passer that I think maybe he can get, even a little bit better as a passer. He's never going to be an incredible, passing quarterback. But if he can get, good enough, maybe they can make it a little bit deeper, playoff run. I mean, last year he made it to the AFC Championship game. But after that, it's kind of a, an interesting, discussion because it's a lot of quarterbacks. I think that, from that 6, 7, 8 to all the way down to 18 range, where we're looking at guys that you're just like, a lot of it becomes preference. Who do you want more out on that field? Because it's such underwhelming quarterback play right now in the NFL.
Yeah, and I don't see that end of the line unless guys like C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, they step into it. Caleb Williams actually performs as he did. But I think most of us, when we look at the quarterback classes of the last, say 4 years and the quarterback classes of the next 2-ish years, it's not going to get generational talent just down the board. I mean, outside of Caleb Williams, I think he still has that potential. But if you look at next year's, Drew Sanders is going to have to be that guy. But a lot of people have Carson Beck, who I think could be good, but can he be great? People really seem to love the quarterback at A&M. I can't remember his name. Wegman.
Connor Wegman, yeah.
But the dude cannot stay healthy to save his playoff career. Career, not playoff career. So you're not – Dylan Gabriel's not that guy. Quinn Ewers, I don't think has that in him. I just think there's so many guys that we're not going to see that. So we talked about this a year and a half now, that NFL teams are going to have to adjust. And I think the Lions are a good example. They did adjust. And unfortunately, for their sake, they didn't go for the throat when they could have. They could have been in the Super Bowl. Because you got to go for the throat in the playoffs. You just can't. Otherwise, saying, well, we could have. But they've kind of adjusted it. And Jared Goff is the right type of quarterback for that. I mean, he really is. So
it's interesting that, we've talked about this. And, we've been so big proponents of bring back the run game. In the NFL, we need more running backs. We need more run game. So last year was 2023 season. Back in 2003, there was 14 running backs that rushed for over 1,200 yards.
1,200? That's pretty good.
Yeah, 1,200 yards. 14 running backs rushed for over 1,200 yards. How many running backs last year in the NFL rushed for over 1,200 yards or 1,200 or more yards?
2. Is it Derrick Henry?
Christian McCaffrey.
What did Derrick Henry have?
1147.
Oh, those are the two guys I thought it was. I was so close.
Yeah. So that just tells you the difference in philosophy in the NFL, and which is the crazy part is that we talked about this too. Like in the postseason, all those teams that made it to the conference championship or the divisional, or the Super Bowl and stuff like that, what did they rely on throughout the playoffs? And really, for the most part of the season, we look at the 49ers. They relied so much on Christian McCaffrey. The Ravens were the number one rushing team in the NFL. The Detroit Lions, their identity was changed when they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and they had David. I forget his last name. But you had your two-headed monster there in Detroit, and then the Chiefs. Their season really turned around once they started handing the ball to the running back, and so the run game was so big for those teams that made it to the conference championship, made it to the Super Bowl. But none of these other teams are really looking at it that way right now, which is crazy because it blows my mind that we see all the success these teams had, and a lot of it was based off the running game and opening up the pass game, and no one else is looking at that right now, and they're all still focused on, well, we got to throw the ball 40 times, and we'll split, 10 carries between 20 carries between two guys.
Yep. No, I agree. I think that we talked about, hopefully Zach Edey's the guy that kind of helps push that in basketball. You got to understand, but that's just, it's time to tweak the system. This happens all the time. Like any sport, they have to tweak it. And so here we are now. We're trying to see if it goes back the other direction. But real quick, let's hit a couple college football things before we kind of wrap up for the day. Big 12 Media Days happen. SEC Media Days are just around the corner. I never remember when Big 10 Media Days are. And does the Pac-12 technically have Media Days this year? I don't really know. But
yeah, I have no idea.
Part of the Mountain West have so the Big 12 Media Days, they happened in Las Vegas. My wife was there helping out with work, and it was 118 degrees. 118. That's stupid.
I'm good.
Yeah, but any big takeaways you have from this conference going into this kickoff of the season itself?
I mean, really, the big three takeaways. I mean, obviously, we have the whole Gundy situation with Ollie Gordon. I mean, that whole thing was laughable. You basically told him, hey, it's okay to drink and drive as long as you don't get caught. He just got unlucky and got caught. I'm like, is this really what you're teaching your players? I mean, and then him being like, well, we're not going to punish him. His punishment was having to come here and, answer for what he did. And then we'll just, kind of laughed it off as like, we'll force him to run the ball 50 times week one. I'm like, you're taking this so unserious that he put other people's lives at risk, and you're just going to kind of brushing it off like it was nothing. It just, I mean, this is one reason why I don't like Mike Gundy.
Sure.
And so then the other was Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if you saw his whole little spiel about, we're going to come in and we're going to, run the Big 12 and we're going to go undefeated. The last time I said this, we went undefeated, back, Jackson, State or whatever, and we're everyone's Super Bowl. That's, was the big thing last year. We're everyone's Super Bowl. We're going to be everyone's Super Bowl this year. And I'm like, my guy, you're coming off a 4-win season. You had one of the worst defenses in the NFL or in college football. You're going to have one of the worst defenses in college football again this year. You're coming into a situation where you probably, if we're talking top to bottom, maybe tougher quarterback play than you had last year in the Pac-12. As great as the Pac-12 quarterback situation was, I'm saying from top to bottom, you're talking about you can't really take a whole lot off, especially with that schedule you have. You're not anyone's Super Bowl at this point. You haven't won enough. Yeah, they may play you a little bit tougher just because they're going to want to shut you guys up, but hey, you got to win more than 4 games to be someone's Super Bowl. And then my other takeaway is I listen to McGuire talk, the Texas Tech head coach. I absolutely understand how he is doing so well in recruiting because it made me want to play for the guy. Last couple of years watching the Big 12 Media Days and listening to him talking, how he talks about his players and how you can just tell he loves the game of football. And I'm like, that it makes sense why they had the number one recruiting class in the Big 12 last year, and why right now they're on pace to probably do it again this year. With Colorado coming in and these other teams coming into the Big 12, he definitely I understand why these kids want to come play for him, because it's different than a lot of coaches. You kind of not saying based off like everything else, but he kind of gives me that Brent Venables vibes where you can tell he just loves culture and just loves the game of football.
Yeah, I don't see as much as I want Colorado to win, like do really well. That schedule is pretty daunting. I mean, not only the first three, one of the best teams in FCS, which they should absolutely beat. Then you have Nebraska, who, I mean, watch out. This program is on the way back, and I don't think people realize it. But you give it 2 years, this is a competitive playoff. There's a chance that Nebraska could make a playoff this year. Awesome. I mean, would that even surprise you with what Matt Rhule is doing there with that program? And people not transferring out because they believe in it, and he's done it before. So, again, that's 2 tough starts. And Colorado State's a tough one. Baylor's going to have to bounce back from last year, but Baylor's always kind of a really tough program. And then UCF will run the ball all day long, and they're going to have to somehow find a way to stop them. And then you get K-State. So I just not immediately. Well, maybe that is a bye week. But all that you said, I want Colorado to succeed because I love Coach Prime. I love the hype behind it, but it's so obvious that Shedeur is Coach Prime's son. And because these are the same things I feel like Prime was saying all his career. So, if you back it up, more power to him, go win them all.
Yeah, you definitely have to back it up. But, I mean, based off of last year, I don't see it happening. I said, you never know. They could shock some people. I just don't think that they got, immensely better. Like, they try to make it out to be, oh, we got all these guys come in. Well, you also had how many guys go out again? And it wasn't just people that were on the, players that stayed on the team from, when you got there. These were guys that had transferred in to play with you last year are now transferring out because of, way things went. And like one of those guys is like, it was a circus. Yeah. I won out because the focus isn't on football. It's on, how much can I get paid to do stuff? It wasn't about football. It was about the extracurriculars outside of football. And that's where I get worried, for that, situation is it going to be that way for pretty much, as long as he's there, that they're so more focused on outside of football than the game of football.
Yeah. Well, how about this? I want to play a game, a quarterback game. You tell me who you want, Shedeur Sanders or the guy I'm going to say. You got to tell me. I'm going to reverse it. Okay. All right. Carson Beck.
I'll take Carson Beck because
not about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, not taking nothing away from Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. There's no argument against he can play quarterback. But I don't know what if last year so much was the offensive line towards the second half of the season and them playing tougher opponents, but he wasn't as crisp and as sharp as he was early on.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder, what was it? I think a big part of it was the offensive line, but I think Carson Beck, if we're talking right now, I think Carson Beck is probably the better quarterback.
Okay. Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, give me Dylan Gabriel because it's about winning. I know Dylan Gabriel can win.
Let me ask you this. If you flip teams for either of these, if Shedeur's now in Georgia or Oregon, would you choose him?
Probably not.
Okay.
I said right now, and I'm just talking solely right now because I think Dylan Gabriel wins the Heisman. I think he's a great college quarterback, and nothing wrong with being just a great college quarterback. We're talking, potential NFL. I would take Shedeur Sanders, but I'm talking right now. I would take those guys. I haven't seen Shedeur Sanders play good against the tough talent. I mean, we saw him fall flat on his face against Oregon, fall flat on his face against Utah, against USC. And USC was a bad defense.
Yeah.
And they came back and got close, but that first half was just you played against one of the worst defenses in college football, and you weren't able to do nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one of these. So how about this: Quinn Ewers or Shedeur Sanders?
Oh, give me Shedeur.
Okay. Jalen Milroe. Shedeur.
Shedeur.
Okay. Noah Fifita.
Noah.
Okay. All right. There you go. Jackson Dart. Ole Miss.
Jackson Dart.
Okay. Jalen Daniels. Kansas.
Jalen. We know Jalen. Jalen Daniels is healthy. Jalen Daniels to me is one of the best quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah, I feel like you have. Yeah, Jalen Daniels probably in the top 5, and it sounds like you have Shedeur in the top 5 as well, though. Because I mean, listen, are pretty good. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback, and I think we're talking mentality and everything about it. There's a lot of the I don't like character-wise, him, constantly trying to push all this other stuff instead of just focusing on the game of football, which I know today's football is a lot different than what we're used to, and maybe it's just my old, mindset. But I want a guy that's going to put football first and not in the middle of halftime.
Yeah, I was
promoting your brand.
Definitely
on Instagram. So that I want a guy that's going to go out there and push and try to be the best he can on the field first, and then everything else can come later.
So if any of y'all are out there with an online dynasty in college football 25 and you have Tubby in it, I just need you to know that's the type of recruit he's going for. Okay, so you got ones who their deal breaker is NIL stuff. All right, Tubby wants the football first. He's a Brent Venables kind of guy.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, that is today's episode. Tubby, did we miss anything? Did I leave anything out?
I don't think so.
I think so. It was a good episode. But I want to say thank you guys so much for joining us to listen, whether you downloaded it, you watched it on YouTube, you watched it wherever else that you're consuming it. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Know that you can always subscribe if you haven't already. Share the podcast with someone who does not have a very good sports podcast to listen to, because whenever you listen to W Sports Podcast, you realize, you know what? You just got to listen.
I mean, absolutely. You just got to listen. It's the best sports podcast you haven't heard of.
I like that. This is our next tag. It's the best sports podcast you haven't heard of. So let's let people hear about it. All right?
Absolutely.
Till then, we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.
See ya.